Hello and welcome to another Doctor's Assistant 1 video, and today I'm doing a review, another classic series review. I'm doing it on Pyramids of Mars, a Tom Baker story, Fourth Doctor story. Previously the episode that I reviewed was the Sea Devils. Now I think I missed this out in the review, that I think the dynamic between Katie Manning and John Pertwee is really good, and I only mentioned that because actually the chemistry between Tom and Elizabeth Lynn in this is just flawless. But I kind of wanted to say that as well in that review, but I think I might have not said that. I can't remember. But yeah, first of all, going through the packaging, you have Elizabeth Lynn with the rifle, and you've got Sutekh in the middle, both the mummies, the sort of triangle thingy thing there, Tom Baker there, the Tom Baker years 1974 to 1981, Pyramids of Mars, Doctor Who, BBC DVDs, same sort of legal stuff there, BBC, Pyramids of Mars, Doctor Who. Oh, I love the colour scheme, by the way, the cover as well, forgot to mention that. Running time, legal stuff, commentary and special features stuff, bio of what the story is about, Pyramids of Mars starring Tom Baker, the stills, the stills and all that. It also says here, winner of the Doctor Who magazine's 40th anniversary poll, most wanted DVD release. So that's pretty cool. This was the winner, and then they released it on DVD. I'm assuming after that. I'm assuming. But yeah, or maybe not. I don't know. I wasn't around then to know those things. But yeah, I don't think. This is a really good Doctor Who story, of course. It's Pyramids of Mars. What can I say that hasn't already been said about this story? I mean, I'd say, I was going to say it's flawless, but I mean, it has that, I think, major problem of a 4-part story in Tom's run, which, you seem to start making, you have a good foundation, you build on it, and then the conclusion isn't naff by any means. I mean, it just, I don't know, I want to say I want to say they could do better, but then obviously you can easily argue, and rightly so, in the comment section, say, well, what would you do in this sort of situation if you were to have written all of this and then had to wrap it all up, the alternative is just, using the Sonic and that, and I guess, I don't know, I think Sutekh is just so formidable, such an amazing enemy, you can just do, I could spend 90% of this review just talking about Sutekh. He's multifaceted, multifaceted, and he feels like a real malevolent, evil, vindictive threat, because not only do they say and hype up him as a threat, but then they show that. They actually show us it. They don't just say, oh look, the Daleks, they're really evil, and then have them just not do anything the whole time. So they don't do like a new series Doctor Who thing of, sort of saying, oh, Sutekh's this immense demigod, and and that, and this and that, and then have him not do anything. Now, there are about 4, maybe even 5, depending on how you count this, but 5 deaths over 4 parts, which is pretty intense. The body count's pretty intense. Now, I know a while back I critiqued and or criticised, should I say, more so, Attack of the Cybermen for having like blood in it and that, and what's weird is like lots of people have that as a big criticism of that story, and yet when I was watching this one this time around, I realised that one of the characters is like bleeding and has his hand over his heart of sorts, over his chest and or heart, and I thought that was a bit much personally, so don't get me wrong, so I'm not just penalising and or scrutinising the Colin Baker years for the sake of it, and or saying that I don't like blood in his story and then completely just disregarding it when it's a Tom Baker story, for example, I mean, I totally forgot that there was blood in this one, and I think, I don't know, I think I'm fine with the deaths. The deaths are fine, but I think visually seeing blood or, stuff like that, I think is a bit much, I think, for Doctor Who, personally, and it's not just because I think it's a kids show by any means. I think it's a family show, and I think even though, the thing is with blood, it's not a thing that just people who are kids find, a bit much. so do teens, so do young adults and adults, granted, other people might be fine with it. I'm fine with it, actually. Well, I don't know, I'm fine with blood and guts and stuff like that, but the way I perceive Doctor Who, I don't think it should be in Doctor Who personally, but I think violence, there's a difference between sort of horror and shock horror and violence and dark themes like this story, and then actually explicitly showing sort of something tragically happening, like say someone like, I don't know, like getting a leg chopped off or something. The mummies are really good henchmen and really cool, and even though they're not the most complex of things, they feel like they still have quite a bit of personality. Tom Baker is just on top form in this story. He is superb. He gives this benevolent, alien-esque performance. I think my only criticism with the story in terms of his character is the fact that he gets knocked out like a zillion times and then just gets back up again. I get knocked down and I get up again. Yeah, very much so Tom Baker in this story. Again, considering how many times he gets knocked down by a mummy or Sutekh and that. Again, though, he gives a bone-chillingly alien and benevolent alien and that, this cold, distant sort of character who sometimes, although is cold and distant, cracks up quite a lot of jokes and that, and it's very funny. And I think Elizabeth Sladen has quite a bit to do in this. That rifle she actually shot was actually a real rifle and that on location. And again, that's another thing. A lot of this is actually quite a bit of this is shot on location, and the bits that aren't and that are very really well designed sort of places and that, like the little house bit, the little hut, and that, and then the big manor house mansion thing. And again, I think my major criticism would be that Part 4 has that sort of Tom Baker four-parter sort of thing of not even so much not wrapping up well, but, you've invested 3 parts in this one location, and then by Part 4 you're sort of off to this other location, and everything just sort of, all of the intensity goes from, steadying from, like, say, 6 to 7, 8, and then just goes up to, like, 10 out of 10, and that, and then you have to somehow wrap that all up in a neat bow somehow, and I think that's my major criticism and gripe with, say, 2 other stories that I can think of in the Tom Baker era, which are Robots of Death, no, not Robots of Death, Robot and Terror of the Zygons. They have a good pace, but then by Part 4 it just sort of goes a bit too ambitious. There's a difference between having good ideas and that. Good ideas, but then being too over-ambitious, and that, which is ironic, because I would say the new series is not ambitious enough, but, sometimes in the classic series they're a bit too ambitious, to the point where I feel like by Part 4, not only has the location changed, not only do you have to wrap everything up, but it sometimes feels like it loses that essence of what was so good in Part 1, 2, and 3, minor criticism there, but again, the chemistry between Elizabeth Sladen and Tom Baker is phenomenal and unreal, really. It's just so seamless, it's so real, it's so, these 2 people are just best friends, just, sort of careering around the universe, cracking up jokes and just, trying to stay out of trouble, but trouble finds them, sort of thing, and as I say, there are quite a lot of deaths, and those people get fairly developed and then killed off. Sutekh again is a badass, is a vindictive, evil, malevolent, vindictive, evil bastard, basically. He has some phenomenal dialogue and basically makes Tom Baker's 4th Doctor his bitch, basically. He just says, he doesn't even say anything to Tom Baker's Doctor at first, he just zaps him and then he kneels to the ground and that, kneel before the might of Sutekh, he's memorable. He's got this sort of oomph to him, and again, it helps that, prior to even seeing him, we only see him until the latter end of, like, Part 2, I think, and then into Part 3 and latter end of Part 2, partway through Part 2, and then maybe at the end of Part 2, and then we fully see him in Part 3, and then 4, and I think, you have lines like, the Doctor being like, "No, Sarah, don't come with us," or something like that, where he then says, if he, the Sutekh, what he's doing is the measure of which he's doing his evil is incalculable, and that, and that, or when Sarah's like, what about your lot? Can your lot even defeat Sutekh and that? And then the Doctor's like, no, our lot, or my lot can't, the Time Lords can't even destroy him and that, giving him even more gravitas and epicness. I guess in that respect, that's the only, as I say, major criticism. You hype up this guy and then immediately he gets defeated. I mean, the way he gets defeated isn't too bad, but I think it's the way he reacts to being defeated as well. Like, that bit where he's like, no, and all that, like that just really cracks me up, because it just looks, well, it's not like it even looks bad, it just, the person acting it like, no, it's proper hammy and a bit stupid really, but, all the parts seamlessly gel well to a point where it just feels like one big epic romp and adventure, really. I think this is quintessential Doctor Who at its height, really, and just Doctor Who to me. It's dark, but there's Tom Baker and Elizabeth Slade and, Sarah Jane and the Fourth Doctor just cracking up jokes, and, Sarah's presence just brings some sort of warmth to the episode, and Tom and the Fourth Doctor and how much he cares about his companion, in this case Sarah, again brings out this warmth, and the fact that, they're saving the world or the universe, and trying to save the universe, even though it's very dark and very dark, gothic, horror-y, Hammer horror-esque, it still feels like it has this essence of being on an adventure and being, sort of, well, not light-hearted, but being on an adventure and that, to save the universe or the world, and the universe, So for me, obviously, I would have to give, Pyramids of Mars a well-earned 10 out of 10. It's not flawless, but it's quintessential Doctor Who. It's Doctor Who to me. If someone was to say to me, what is Doctor Who, I'd point them to Pyramids of Mars personally. But yeah, it's a little bit complex, but just about, sort of reachable. It never feels too complex or convoluted. It feels multi-layered, but just about, sort of, it within reach, I think. It might take a few rewatches, but, it's still, it feels like it's complex, like both the bad guys and the good guys in this have motives, and therefore that's why it probably feels more complex than some of the Doctor Who stories in the classic series or the modern series and the classic series alike, but still, nonetheless, it's just a romp and an epic and an adventure. So thanks for watching, comment, rate and subscribe. 10 out of 10 episode from me.